Hey guys, I'm just getting set up here. Hey guys, I'm just getting set up here.
Recording in progress. Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
I don't know what that music was, but bear with me. It's my first time. So, we are kicking off my first show for Her Higher Self. This is kind of more of a passion project for me. Ideally, I'm looking to really help people eliminate the spirit of fear and tap into the parts of themselves that they have let hold themselves back. So ideally, we're just going to run this raw, authentic, and just speaking from our truth. If there's anyone out there that would also like to come and chat, would love that too. Essentially, in the land before music or after music, there's really no intro here. There's no fluff. I'm, really looking to help people understand that there's a person inside of them who's already living the life that they are trying to convince themselves that they deserve. And the show is the bridge between the two of you. And so really, I'm Lauren, or Lauren of Light, and this is a global home of self-transformation, myself included. So really, I'm trying to be a flashlight for people, and we can kind of work together and execute. So if you found this show, you were sent here. There's no accidents in the algorithm, especially not this one. So the show is for the person who is already exceptional and quietly exhausted by the cost of it. You are the one who carries the team, the family, the relationships, the social calendar, the standard, the silence. You're the one who can tell you exactly what everyone else needs and cannot remember what you needed before you became who the person you are now. You are high functioning, you're high performing, you're the one everyone leans on, and you're the one who comes home at night and feels like a stranger in your own body sometimes. If that sentence lands, or if you're someone that holds yourself back, if you are afraid of failure and you are an overthinker and you play the what if game in your head, then this is absolutely for you. This show is also for the guys who love these women, who want to meet them, and who are tired of watching them shrink themselves and not take up space. You're welcome here too. It's for everybody. The polarity work is for both of us, guys and gals. So the thesis here is that the quality of your life is a function of the quality of your self-concept. And self-concept is built, not given. So most people are not stuck because they're not capable. They're stuck because they have built a life around a self-concept that no longer fits them, and no one has shown them how to update it. Your self-concept is your operating system. Everything else is just an application layer. So your career, your relationships, money, your body, your calm, your anxiousness, your pleasure, your presence, none of those things move until the operating system updates or stagnates. So I've spent years in rooms where I was usually the only woman. I've been an executive for the past 10 years, and almost always the youngest, and frequently the one being told that I was too much or not enough or too direct or too quiet or didn't speak enough or too fast, or I was so busy trying to make sure that everyone else had what they needed. And so I became a high functioning over performer. I've always held myself accountable to the highest standards. I wanted to crush every goal. I wanted to prove myself and work my way up the corporate ladder. And when you get up to the top, what you realize is that everyone is just faking it, man. Like it's crazy, and through those experiences and through my life, I had to grow up extremely fast. I lost my original language, and probably up until 2019. And Her Higher Self is the show that I would have given anyone the version of me, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the one who had the resume, the one who was still asking, the one who was overperforming or people pleasing, or just quietly asking, is this it? Is this all that, do I have to work myself to a grind? Is this how life is supposed to be? So I was sitting in a quarterly review like 3 years ago, and we had just delivered one of the strongest quarters in company history, and the room was applauding. And I remembered looking at the woman across the table for me, and it was another senior leader, and watching her smile in a way that did not reach her eyes. And I just thought, oh man, like that is what I look like. Like this is miserable. I also remember the girl who went through a pretty crazy experience back in 2018, 2019 that had me on my knees. Like at that time, I didn't know what I believed in. I just remember that I was on the floor and I was like, God, if there is a God, just help me get out of this situation. And that whole surrender, that whole experience, it was like a light bulb, a moment of electricity just went off. It was a game changer. It was a life changer. And that night, I drove home and I said, okay, Jesus, take the wheel. Like I am done trying to direct my life. Now I still find myself, with being out of balance with polarity. The laws of the universe are always at play, whether you're leveraging them to your benefit or you're leveraging them unknowingly or unbeknownst to you to your deficit. It is always happening whether we want it to or not. And so I remember one night I was driving home and I sat in the driveway for 45 minutes before I could go back inside, because I knew that the woman who walked through the door was not the woman that I had spent the last decade pretending to be. I am lively. I am such a goofball. I am like a golden retriever. And I'm also bold and fiery and confident, and I have zero hesitation when it comes to facing my fears. I think partially because I had to spend a majority of my life facing fears head on. And so I found that if I just ran through them and didn't even process them, that I wouldn't have to feel the pain of them. And so I would always try to push it just a little bit further. And what that did was it put me into a place to where I was unable to really receive. I never knew how to receive love. It was always like, I always felt like it had to be conditional on my end. I didn't know how to receive compliments or anything. Like I always felt so uncomfortable. And in retrospect, it's hilarious because it's like, man, people want to be abundant, but they can't even accept a compliment. Like it's pretty crazy. And so, I started to create a list, and I had everything on this list, like the life that I wanted. And I remember standing in front of a mirror one morning and not being able to find myself in my own face. I had become so good at being who other people needed me to be that I had forgotten what it felt like to be the woman that I was before I learned how to perform. And that morning and that night before, was the first day that I started really doing the work, like peeling back the layers of the onion, not as a hobby, but as more of a reckoning. And really what I'm hoping to do here is help you to recognize that you are absolutely amazing. Every time that we set these limiting beliefs, and there's so many different ways that we create these beliefs, whether it's from our parents or society or our peers or our friends or through our career or through something that we read online or through, media just shoving it down our face. We know this. It creates these belief systems that we attach ourselves to. And what's interesting about that is that our bodies are electromagnetic. Every single cell in our body has electricity. And so when we go through these fears and these traumas and these beliefs, or the good things too, when we get the dopamine hit, our body remembers that experience. And so what happens is we start to project that experience onto the present moment or the future, or we overly anticipate certain outcomes of the future, and then the universe kind of lines up to make things kind of come to that outcome. And so it is absolutely critical that we take the time. It's so much harder to create the right authentic self-concept and to also be assumptive and confident in your expectations for yourself. It is so much harder to maintain a level of positivity and a success mindset than it is to align to the naysayers or the negative Nancy's out there that are just kind of like, nope, that's not going to happen, or this is what happened for this person, so that's going to happen to me. I mean, gosh, the amount of people that they take someone else's experience that they've never had and then they apply it to their own life. That is absolutely ludicrous to me. They see their friends, they see other couples, they see people in their career. Every single person that walks on this planet has their own unique story. Who are we to determine, how our story is going to line up? Now, if you anticipate, malice, if you anticipate a negative outcome, that's absolutely what you're going to get. I guarantee if you go back and you retrace your life and you think about the times where you expect it to have a bad outcome or a bad experience, or you talked yourself out of your blessing, or you attached yourself to societal norms and belief systems because you had all of these fears, or fears of rejection, fear of success, fear of outcome, fear of reaction. I cannot tell you, especially you guys are the worst at carrying the weight of the world on your chest, and you have no idea what that does to your body. It is not good. I mean, when you carry your authentic truth, when you carry the things inside of you and you bury them down and you don't ever speak up on them because you're trying to manage other people's emotions, or you're like, well, I gotta be a man, so I just gotta carry this and I gotta hold it. No, absolutely not. You build authentic relationships and you align to your highest timeline when you have the ability to unleash your voice. Unleash it. Who cares what anyone thinks? You have to be so bold and so confident and so courageous in who you are, where you come from, and where you're headed, that it doesn't matter who's for you or against you, because you know absolutely where you're going. Who has the authority to tell you if you can get there other than yourself? No one. So stop carrying it. Every time you hold yourself back, you are out of alignment with your authentic self. When you are out of alignment with your authentic self, it is almost impossible for the events that you want to occur to materialize, because you are putting on this mask. You're wearing a mask of who you want people to perceive you to be, and then you perform to that mask. And then you got to keep up with the performance because that's the mask that you've created. One of my favorite things in the Bible that I think about often is a verse where they said, well, you can't be a prophet in your own hometown. Well, duh. You got to have new experiences, and you have to have ways to detach from, this identity that your past has create it for you. It's so interesting when people leave for a long time and then they come back and people are like, wow, like, what happened to you? Well, I was able to reinvent myself. You have the authority to reinvent yourself in any given moment. You're the one that chooses whether you are going to do that or not, you know? So it is 100% up to you to take ownership of that. And, you know, it's so interesting when you adopt the belief system. I mean, and it might feel really weird at first. There's no wrong way to do it other than negative self-talk. My gosh, do not, even if you're kidding, stop talking bad to yourself. Your body reacts to your sound, to your thought. You know, it is aligning to those things. Stop putting yourself down. Find things to celebrate about yourself, even if it's tough. Hey, I got up 10 minutes early today. Woohoo, let's go. Hey, I was not tired before I got ready for work today. Amazing. Hey, I'm hopping on YouTube live and I haven't gone live in, I don't know, years. I'm just busy. But I mean, it's just, it is whatever it is. But in this season, this is the season of redemption. This is the season of transformation. And this is the season of incredible outcomes. I challenge every single one of you to take ownership of the person that you want to become. Who do you have to become to get to where you want to go? Who do you have to become to achieve your wildest dreams? What fears do you have to burn up and detach from and face? What, you know, infinite loop do you keep creating in your life? Where do you keep learning the same lessons over and over and over and over again? Mine, I'll tell you mine. I'll be authentic all day. Mine was self-worth or imposter syndrome. You know, it's crazy because I worked my butt off from the ground up. I mean, years of working overtime and just pushing and pushing and pushing as far as I could because I wanted to prove something of myself. The reality is that I had nothing to prove. Who was I proving it to? So for what? So I could have a resume? Who cares? So I could feel good about myself. But there was already so many things that made me magnetic, that made me who I am, that gave me my light, that I had the inability to see. You know, it's interesting. I've read this thing one time where they say that a caterpillar, it goes into, and it creates, you know, it's a cocoon, so it can turn into a butterfly. And it is unearthed in this little cocoon for however long, and it goes through a complete metamorphosis and that transformation. And then it turns into this beautiful butterfly. And the most interesting part about that is that the butterfly is so freaking beautiful. It's completely transformed, almost a whole new species. And the butterfly can't even see their own wings. So they went from a ground crawler to a flying, beautiful, magnificent like thing, and it has no idea. No idea. That is what every single one of you watching right now has. You don't recognize the things that make you great. You don't recognize the things that you should feel confident about. You don't celebrate your victories long enough. You're always chasing the next thing, the next achievement. You know, well, my buddy down the street, well, he just purchased a brand new house and it's even bigger than the last one. Or my friends over here, you know, they're having another baby. And my friend over here, they are going on another wild vacation. It is comparison that is keeping you stuck. Because you're comparing to people that were not put on the same mission as you. You're comparing to people that have their own challenges and problems that you have no idea about. Every single person walking this earth right now is fighting for something, through something, or both. Who are we to judge someone else's story? We have no idea the fight that they had to go through to get to where they are. No idea. And so then we project these narratives and then we mark it as truth. And we project these narratives in a way that makes us, you know, either stuck or it prevents us from going forward, or it it makes us operate from a manner of scarcity, like, oh, there's never going to be any more people, so I better hop on this bandwagon, or I'm always going to lose money, so I have to keep working and working and working and working, because if not, like, I'm never going to achieve this goal. Or how am I going to support my entire household? How am I going to go on vacation? I'm going to have to go on debt for this. There is always a method to the madness. There is always an open door. But we stop seeking, or we throttle. Gosh, we throttle. You know, there's so many times where, especially guys, man, because they want to make sure that they are making the right decision. They put so much responsibility and pressure on themselves that they don't even really get to enjoy the purpose of what it is that they're trying to accomplish. Because they have applied so much pressure on themselves to make the right decision, because they have this belief system that if they don't make the right decision, their life is just going to be miserable and that all these terrible outcomes are going to happen. No, absolutely not. We are not locked into any predestined outcome. Our life is the sum of the events that have already taken place. Our actions create our events. It's funny because, you know, like when you get into your 30s, because I remember my 20s, my goodness. But when you get into your 30s, it's like, yeah, so I'm a little bit calmer. I kind of understand the world a little bit more now. And I'm going to make sure that I'm making the right decisions. I'm going to make sure that I am moving with positive intention. I'm going to do so with a pure heart, because I don't want any bad karma. I don't want it coming back on me. And believe me, it always does. And so it is absolutely critical that we are working on ourselves, and we're even identifying, you know, a lot of people don't know how to identify what those subconscious belief systems are. Evaluate your life. We are in a constant state of consumption of information that we don't even realize that we have created this scenario where we are subconsciously judging and making, you know, micro decisions on things that could have been an absolute blessing. Absolute blessing. You know, the moment that we are able to completely shed fear and enjoy the process. What is meant for you is not going to pass you by. What is meant for you, even if there's a season of silence around it, is not going to pass you by. And if it does pass you by, then you have to recognize that that is God just moving something out of the way for you. It is protecting you. And now it's making room for something even greater. What are you worried about? What are you worried about? Why are you attaching yourself to these narratives and these just really low vibe, low energy, like dissonance level of thought? You know, you don't have just one version of yourself. You have so many. And the one who is soft and understanding is different from the one who's chill and completely unbothered, and the one who doesn't ask for too much, the one that is giving, the one who pretends that they're okay when they're not, the one that holds everything down, the one that unleashes the fire. And the truth of all of that is that you didn't become these versions randomly. You built them strategically based off of your own unique experiences. And you learned very quickly that you had to be liked. You had to be chosen. You had to be, you know, the person that avoided conflict or rejection or abandonment. Or you had to be the person that had to be tough, and you had to be the warrior, and you had to take these things head on instead of just observing. Just observe. You don't got to get involved in every little thing and every little argument. You can just observe and let it play out. Choose your battles, you know, and so you just adjusted over the years. You know, at work, you're polished and agreeable and you're easy to manage, and you may come off as strategic or the knowledge person or the creative person or the person that gets things done, and you kind of just, yes ma'am, yes sir, and you work these hours away accomplishing someone else's dream. That's why it sucks the life out of you. Because when you're not creating, you are out of balance because you are constantly in a state of masculine giving action energy. Your creative side has to be balanced. That's why we have the balancing of scales. With your friends, you're supportive and you're available and you're the strong one. And, with men or women, you're understanding or you're low maintenance or you're the cool guy and you just kind of go with the flow. And in all of that, you became so good at being who people respond well to because it's safe. That's your armor. But let me ask you something. And I want you to be really honest with yourself. Really sit with this. Where are you in all of this? Who is the real you? Because here's the part that no one says out loud. The mask doesn't just protect you. It disconnects you. It completely disconnects you. You say you want real friendships and real relationships. You want, a job where you light up and you're passionate about, but you're showing up as the version of you that won't get rejected. You say you want to be seen, but you're editing yourself in real time. You say you want depth, but you're staying surface level enough to stay safe. So of course you feel unseen. You're not fully there. And this is where it gets real. You don't just wear masks in these relationships. You wear them when you say, it's fine, and it's not. When you laugh something off that bothered you. When you over-explain so you don't get misunderstood. When you pour every ounce of your energy into people and it just never gets returned. When you accept less so you don't risk losing more because it's safe. So let's just call it what it is. That is not you being easygoing. That is you abandoning yourself to maintain a connection. And I know why you do it. I've done it. Because you felt what happens when you don't. You've felt the rejection, the disappointment, the abandonment, the distance, the fear. The people not understanding you, or they're not hearing you, they're not acknowledging. And so now your instinct is adjust, soften, stay, run. But here's the truth you need to hear. The right relationships will not require a mask to survive. It will get beyond the mask. It'll get deep beneath the surface. It'll see parts of you that you've never even seen. It'll hold a mirror up to you. Same with your work. You won't have to feel so sluggish. You will feel alive and passionate, like this buzzing that doesn't go away because you're just excited and you're just like thirsty for knowledge and more. And you can't wait to just execute and get it done because it's fun. You don't have to shrink and filter or perform to keep the right people and communities and relationships and work clients around because you're not being chosen. You don't have to do those things because you're choosing yourself. And when you do those things, you're being tolerated in a version of yourself that isn't even real. Like, just think about that. We often talk about the hero's journey or the individual labyrinth, but when you are so busy performing and putting on these masks that are not aligned to who you are meant to be, you are performing. And when you are performing, you are misaligned with the journey that you're meant to be on. And so you just keep walking in this circle. You're trying to find the path, you're trying to find the open door, you're trying to find the right road to take, you're trying to make the right decision. You are exhausting your energy and all of these different thoughts and belief systems and projections and all of these different things. And you're just walking in a circle because you're not aligned to your authentic truth because the fear is greater than the faith. Your lack mindset is greater than the confidence and the abundance and how amazing you are and how bold you are and how you're just going to go after every single dream that you've ever had. And you just know it. You know it with every ounce of your being that everything works out for you because you are amazing. It is so easy. It is so easy to get caught up in the anxious thoughts. I did it yesterday. You know, it is so easy. But we can recognize why we're doing it. We can recognize what we're doing, and we can recognize that, hey, maybe it's time things change. Maybe it's time that we really do the inner work to determine, who am I? What am I so afraid of? What if I choose to see the light? What if I choose to recognize how great I actually am? And when you do, it is magnetic. And people are so drawn to you. And they're like, I wonder what happened with them. Why are they just so electric? Like, they won't even know. It's funny. You don't have to seek approval because you approve yourself. You don't have to push or pull or hide or adapt or perform because you are staying true to who you are, and the right people will find you because you are a dang lighthouse. Like, that you are a lighthouse, and they were like, wow, that is a bright light. It happens. Try it. It's about recognizing where you perform instead of express, and where you adapt instead of stand, and where you hold back instead of leaning in, and where you run instead of, going after what you want, and where you stay instead of choosing yourself, and where you pour when the energy is not being reciprocated. The thing about that is you can keep pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring, but energy cannot be created or destroyed. And so when you are constantly pouring and you're not getting any type of return on that energy, then what are you left with? Nothing. You try to find all of these different ways that you can fix it or make things better, but you're left with nothing. You're left with an empty cup, and you're depleted. And then on top of that, you gave your power away, so now you don't have confidence in who you are. Why are you going to do that to yourself when there are so many things in this world that will light you up? There's so many people out there that are absolutely, genuinely really good people that are amazing, that would absolutely love to be a part of your life. The goal is to be so fully rooted in yourself that no matter who's in front of you, you're good. You just know where you're going. And when you get there, you stop chasing. You stop overthinking. You stop trying to be understood by people who are committed to misunderstanding you or committed to their own fears. You become the person that doesn't need to be chosen because you're choosing yourself, or you're choosing the outcome. You're choosing the growth. You're choosing the abundance mindset. You expect to win. You're not too much. You're just used to being less. And the mask kept you safe, and it's also what's keeping you stuck. You don't need to become confident. You need to stop betraying yourself because you are confident. You need to uncover what you're confident about. You don't feel unseen. You feel unexpressed. You're silencing your voice, or you're allowing fear to lead the conversation, and so you're not getting it out in a way that is understood. Or you're talking to the wrong people, because the right people will understand you without you having to over-explain or say a bunch of words. This is your redemption arc. It's time for you to call yourself out for the bullshit that you have accepted and aligned to, and for the falsehoods and the fears that you have allowed to dictate your outcomes in your life. It is time for you to rise up and be the person that you have always been meant to be. Fearless, excited, empowered, confident. You have zero problem going after your dreams. You have zero problem doing things that scare you, because you know that it doesn't matter how many times you get a no, you're going to get a yes eventually towards your dream. If it feels exciting, if you have this pull towards it, why would you let it go? Why would you surrender? Why would you give your authority away? Why would you give up on something that you know you've always wanted, because you are so accustomed to this lack mindset? You can get whatever you want in your career, in your life, in your relationships. You can have it all, darling. You can absolutely have it all. So I think it's about time we go get it, don't you? Anyways, ooh, that is so bright. So yeah. This is our year, friends. It's time to rise up. It is absolutely time to rise. So that pink is so weird. Oh, there's my house. Hello. I am in the process of moving, so don't mind all the stuff everywhere. But anyways, well, friends, it's been, goodness gracious, that is so bright. Oh, that is so much better. It's been fun. I appreciate you guys for checking this out, and until next time, see ya. Bye.